Hey, welcome back. My name is Richard Durant, and I'm your host. And this is episode 3 of Public Speaking Stuff, where today I'm going to tell you about cartoons and the effects that they have on childhood development. And the first thing I did want to talk about is how accessible these cartoons are to children. Um, as you probably are aware, uh, the vast majority of programs and media targeted towards children are animated and cartoonish in nature. So it makes it so that there's a wide variety of cartoons accessible to all of these children. And you take that and you supplement it with how much free time children have, and there's just overwhelming opportunity for um, messages and ideals in cartoons to get carried over into a child's everyday life. Um, and to even push that even further, the CDC put out an article um, called Screen Time versus Lean Time. Came out in January 2019, where they said that the average American child watches 4.5 hours of TV a day. And you take that number and you break it down into cartoons, and that's a cartoon is 20 to 30 minutes per episode. So that means that in 4.5 hours, you have 10 to 15 episodes, um, which again just paints that picture of you have a lot of opportunity to watch this and take note of a character that you really find interesting and emulate that. It gives a lot of opportunity for something seen in the cartoon to carry over. Um, Another point on that is um, there was this other paper by Yvette Middleton. It came out in 1999, and it was called TV Cartoons, Do Children Think They Are Real? And it explored that very question. Do children believe that these cartoons are real? And Yvette Middleton, she polled 26 students at the school she worked at. Excuse me. Excuse me. She polled 26 students at the school she worked at, and found that 56%, 56% said that they did believe that cartoons were real life. And now this is, it was 26 third graders, and again, 26 is not a huge number. It's not a massive sample size, but when you consider that this 56% said that they believe cartoons are real, if you take a larger sample size and then completely lowball the percentage, let's say you say it's 20% and there's 50,000 as a weight, let's even boil it down even more. 10% in 100,000. That's 10,000 kids that all believe that what they see in cartoons really happen, and what happens to cartoons really happens to people. Um, so when you look at the effects of these cartoons on children, first thing I did was look at a paper called Effects of Cartoons on Children, which came out in October 2020, and it talked about the negative and positive effects that these cartoons have on them. Negative being mainly that it sprouts from the fact that they're very exaggerated pieces of work, and it makes it so that kids want to emulate that. And a lot of what they try to emulate is the violence of it. And like I said earlier, if these kids believe that the violence is real, they'll believe that the repercussions for the violence is real. And if there's no repercussions for the violence, then that's how they see reality, um, which plays into the negative aspects of it. And then there's the positivity of it, which I found largely in this article called The Influence of Cartoons on Children's Socialization, which came out November 16th, 2019, which talked about how children can see relationships and emulate that, like positive friendship relationships or complicated protagonist antagonist relationships where they find a common ground and resolve an issue. And those types of relationships can be helpful in navigating social situations that you haven't experienced yet, where you're a child coming into the world and trying to find your way. It's beneficial to have examples that can relate to the real world, so that when you get to those points, you can recognize them and then act accordingly. So that weighs the positive and the negatives, where the negatives are there's a higher concentrations of violence and it's impressionable, and then there's the positive where you can be amicable and that can also be impressionable. So those are the cartoons and their effects on childhood development, at least some.